restaurant. All you need is spaghetti, that's it.
So Dino's one of my good friends on the road with Alabama for many, many years. I was their keyboard utility guy. Same thing with Barbara Mandrell. Lots of videos on YouTube of just Dino dancing and all kinds of crazy things. He's played at the White House. He's played all kinds of different places. And he's been just my dearest, dearest friend here. We've played big, huge things together. We've played small things together. When Paula was being wheeled into surgery, Dino was by my side. So we have been together through a lot. Dino Pastin, ladies and everybody.
It's great to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me back.
Well, it's always an honor. Try not to mess things up.
Okay. Try to make sure I get the way.
We should probably play something.
Okay.
Anything that we do? We've actually been doing, this is, of all crazy things, we've been doing a crazy little jazz gig together occasionally, and which is unexpectedly fun. So
I knew it was going to be fun. He didn't know.
I didn't know it was going to be fun. So we play at a little restaurant, and it's supposed to be background music, I think, but it always kind of seems to end up being the Dino show, and by the time it's in, hey!
Well, you have Steve over there, and then I have there's a singer that comes along too. Diane Sherrill's a great entertainer in Nashville here. She sings with us too, so it's a fun time. A place called Seasons. You probably have Seasons in your area too. I understand they're all around.
Yeah, Seasons have been around for a long time. Winter, spring.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. There's 4 restaurants. There's one in.
One north, one south.
Well, no, that's it.
What
do you say?
I don't know.
All of me.
All of me.
What do you
Good,
think?
good.
Want to do try that?
Yeah. I don't know if I need it.
Yeah, sure.
Here we go.
Sure.
Everybody plays in C. Let's do it in B. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So just turn the music over this way. Just in case.
Come on, you do this for a living.
I know. Just in case. All right.
Just in case.
Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You go and take it.
set it and like warm up my horn.
You probably hadn't played a note. I was amazed you had your read on it.
Yeah, I was like, this is try reading and playing, what? I play at a club sometime and to sit in, and I play this great solo and everything, and all of a sudden, right after it, everybody's clapping and everything, and then right after it, this guy comes on with a kazoo, sounds just like me. It takes all the glory away. That's what it felt like. Okay.
Improvising. The ability to just, over a chord progression, over a series of chords of a harmonic bass, you're creating something. We're in a jazz setting right now, and we're in the key of C. Okay, this was a little song that we have extensively. No, we had never thought about this. Okay, but basically, here's the tune. Dino's going to write down for a few bars of it. Okay, so we got C's. Each of these is a measure. We got E7s, we got A7s. Comes to a D minor, and that's kind of the first 8 bars of the tune. Okay. Over that harmonic bass, we're trying to create something musical. So there's 2 different approaches. Okay. Now I could spend the next 3 hours talking harmony about what is good over a C chord, and what's good over an E7, and what's good over an A7, and things like that. And that's good. You need to know all that stuff. We talk about it in the book, the scales, and you need to know what notes are in a C chord. You need to know what notes are in an E7, things like that. Is that the end of the story? No. Do we even need to know all that? Yeah, I think you kind of need to know what's happening here harmonically to be able to create something. Once you kind of understand a good hunk of that, then you can just let your mind start creating melodies and things over those chord structures. But it looks all intimidating. See, that's what if I was sitting in your place, I would go, gosh, that looks like a lot of work, really. This looks like a lot of work to try and figure all that stuff out when I just want to play. Well, you can simplify this a lot by just keeping track of things that change in any point in time. Generally, for chords, the 2 notes that really define what a chord is. Let's say this E7 here. Someone was asking me earlier the notes in an E7. The E7, it's E, G sharp, B, and a D. Now, how did I know that? Am I a musical genius? No, it's just really math and formulas, and you got to figure it out. And it's session 7, you do that worksheet about 1,000 times, you kind of get better at it. But there's so many. How do you learn all of this sort of stuff? Don't get too knocked out with all that stuff. Y'all memorize stuff all the time as adults. We have to learn all kinds of stuff we don't need to know. This is fun stuff that we actually have to control. All right, but the 2 notes that are important in, let's say, that E7, which the notes in an E7 are an E, G sharp, B, and a D, an E, a G sharp, a B, and a D, okay? The 2 notes that really kind of define that chord are the 3rd and the 7th. These 2 notes, the 3rd and the 7th, are what really give any chord its character. Steve, isn't the root important? Well, not as important as you might think, because generally there's a bass player who gets paid a lot of money to just sit there and go root, 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 root. Sometimes he walks between the roots, root, something, 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 next root, root, root. So
You sound mad about that.
I am mad about that.
Too much. You're playing
I've
one
been in
note.
many recording sessions where you go in, the guitar player, you got schlep in, you've got acoustics, you got 3 different electrics, you got a board that looks like you could launch a space shuttle from it, and you got to try to get every color and sound in the world, and they do the song, they put the song out, and the bass player comes in with his bass and a strap, and his thing, and he plays the song, doom, 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 and he finishes the song, and then he unplugs and leaves. And I'm there for the next 3 hours doing overdubs of that elusive, okay, now we need an acoustic part, and now we need a solo part. Yes, I am a little bitter.
just want to clear that up.
I'm just saying. If I had to go back and choose it again, I would look a little bit more at the bass and think, knowing what I know now, don't have to worry about pedals and gear and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, the two notes that are really defining something are the third, which determines whether a chord is major or minor. Okay? The seventh kind of gives the determination of whether it's a major seventh tonality or a dominant seventh tonality. So these two guys right there are the two ones in any chord that are more important than others. If there's something happening with the fifth, you know, a flatted fifth or an augmented or something like that, that's important to catch that. But other than that, if you have to drop something, you could drop the root of the fifth a little bit easier than you could drop the third and the seventh. Keeping that in mind. We look through these as I'm playing these chords. What notes are in a C major triad? All my theory people? C, E, G. C, E, G. Very good. C, E, G. Okay, C, E, G. So I can play any of those and other stuff, anything with D and C will work really. And then, but when I get to this E7, during this time span, if I'm playing my G from this C chord, let's try it, see how it works. 1, 2, C first. Okay, so you see how my G suddenly, once we got into this time frame and this was in effect, suddenly I had to remember to go to a G sharp. That's important. Okay, you got to keep track of what's changing at any point in time. Here's an A7 chord. Hey, what notes are in an A7 chord?
A, C sharp, E, G.
Oh man, you guys are much better than past groups. Usually I say something like that and I hear a few mumbles, C sharp. Okay, so an A7, that's an A, C sharp, an E, and a G. Okay, hey, what's important? I went to this conference and Steve said a couple things were important. The third and the seventh tend to be important. Okay, hey, wait just a gosh darn minute here. E, G sharp, B, D. This is important. This is more important. I mean, it's not like you only play those, but different things are in effect. So I could play a G here. That would sound in effect, but I've got to change it to a G sharp here. And then I could play a G back again here. And it would still work, right? I mean, this is, let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, and then I've got to go to a D minor chord. What notes are in a D minor chord?
D, F, A.
D, F, A, and I could probably add the seventh on there just to be, this is jazz. D, F, A, C, C, sorry. Okay, so I could, if I'm on my little G thing, well, what's a note that's close to G if I get into this chord? Well, I could go maybe down to an F. You know, that would work. And then we get over here to E7 again. Well, that's still E, G sharp, B, D. A minor is what? A, C, E, G. Okay. Hey, how many notes? Let me play a 3-note solo over 8 bars. Well, let's see how that sounds. Okay. 1, 2, G, and ready. G, 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 G sharp, G sharp, G, G, F, G sharp. Maybe I can go back down to G. Oh, D7. What notes are in a D7?
F sharp,
A and C. Oh, hey, there's an F sharp. That's close to a G. All right, that's good. Oh, might as well do this, finish it out here. D minor, D, F, A, C. Hey, what note's close to an F sharp? An F, that's close. G7, that would be a G, B, D, Fs. I'm on an F. I could really just stay on an F there. That would get me through that. All right, so let me see how we're up to 5 notes. See how my 5-note solo sounds. 1, 2, G, 1, 2, G, go. F, G sharp, G, F sharp, creative. Now, that's not the best solo in the world, but do you see kind of, I hit the important tones when I needed to. I'm dancing around, and every now and then when I come past that chord, I hit that goal tone, and that's what makes it sound like I've made that chord change. So what makes these soloists sound so brilliant is that they create this elaborate dance, but if you look closely, they're touching the right tones at the right time. And there they hit the G, and they hit the F sharp, and that's what gives their solo, sounds like they're playing the changes and things like that.
You have to pay homage to the key as the key change, the chord as the key changes.
And then you have to pay attention to the key, what overall key you're in, and then within that key, how these chords are changing. Right, Dino?
I think the price of admission was just seeing you dance like that. I can go home now. That's awesome. Dance around the notes.
I'm trying to have a workshop here to be helpful to people.
I don't know, but you could be a do-right really easy. You could be with Mandrill very good.
What do you think, Dino? Got any thoughts?
Yes, I think that's exactly how I think, by the way. And I teach also. Whenever I start getting stuck on something, going, oh no, I have an E chord coming up. Oh, what do I do? Well, you know, I automatically go, I hit my E chord. Okay, so then I'll throw in a couple of chromatic notes. Doesn't matter where they're at. But as long as I'm hitting, it makes me sound brilliant, right? So I go, I mean, just anything else I hit, as long as I'm hitting a G sharp and an E and a D and an E when I get to the E chord. Okay, so a lot of times I feel like I'm you know, I mean, I know the C scale, I know the E scale and the A scale and the D scale, but there's times when we're jumping between chords, I'm kind of just going, okay, well, I find myself in a corner and I go, well, how do I get out of this corner? And just knowing a little bit of theory like that, the third and the seventh is so important. And everybody knows what the seventh is, right? The dominant seventh. It's one whole step down from the eight, right? Octave is one. And my students, they have a little hard time with major seven and dominant seven. So,
Talk about that. What's the difference?
Well, major seven is what you do in your scale. It's the seven you use in your scale, and it's always a half a step below the eight. It's half a step. That's a major seven. Sounds real heavy, right? So then the dominant seventh is a whole step, right? Everybody knows that what we're playing in is half steps, right? It's 12 half steps. That's all we have, and then we just keep playing over and over again. These 12 half steps. So a whole step down from your octave is the dominant seventh. And each one of these, you always hit the dominant seventh unless it says major.
Major is the magic word.
That's the magic word.
It has to say, if your chord is, you know, up here, it has to say the magic word. But Steve, what kind of seventh would be in a C7? Well, did it say the magic word major? No, so it's a flatted seventh. Steve, what kind of seventh would be in a C9? Did it say the magic word? No, so it would be a flatted seventh. Steve, what kind of chord is, kind of seventh is in a C major 13th? That would be the normal seven because it said the magic word. Major is the magic word. So don't get confused. Major's not, it's not telling you information about the root, it's telling you information about what's going on with seven.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter how complex it is, here, an A flat, major 13th with a flat 5, all that sort of stuff. What kind of seventh is in it? A major seventh, half step below the root. Everything else, other than a fully diminished chord, is kind of the one anomaly to it. But other than that, majors and minors, all that sort of stuff, unless it's got to say the magic word in the chord change.
So if you're in G, what's your dominant seventh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're in E flat, dominant seventh.
E.
Okay. If you're in A, what's your major 7?
C sharp.
There you go. Good.
Good.
Very good.
Now, if you get, here's what I see a lot with people in improvising. And I wish I could teach it better. We make it so hard, we kind of learn all the theory and all this sort of stuff, and I've got to learn this. If I did all my arpeggios, what was Dino, he was doing that, I've got to figure that out. And it just gets really complicated really fast. Well, is this a C major? Is it, what kind of mode am I using there? And is that, what kind of, and it gets really confusing really fast. And, but you know, you get 3 chords into it, and in a college level theory course, and you kind of just go, well, the options are limitless, I can now see, so I'm starting right back where I started before. I don't know what to play. Okay? You can trust your ear with a lot of things. To just start to explore with your ear. You've got a little bit of understanding of what's happening, but if you let your ear guide you a little bit, you'll hit a few clunkers, but you'll start making a better choices along the way. What I see a lot of times is folks are just scared to play anything. They know enough knowledge to know, wow, there's a lot to this that I don't know, and they just get all scared. If you're a 5-year-old, you don't get scared. You just kind of go. You just kind of start playing. We lose that as we get older, and we start getting so hesitant about things. So Dino's going to play this progression, or actually play any progression. I don't care what it is, surprise me. Pick a key, and I'll play something.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
Okay, now first of all, I don't know what key he's in, so I have to find the key. Okay, he's in the key of G. Okay, now he's going between 4 different chords. Okay, and I'm just gonna, now I know that he's in the key of G, I'm just gonna play the key of G. So Dino's gonna go through those 4 chords, he's gonna throw other chords at me, all that sort of stuff. I'm just gonna play the key of G. I don't know what he's doing, I'm gonna play the key of G. There's my scale. Home base, so I go away from it, but then I come right back. Oh, he hit this other, now that chord, oh, something's going on with that. That's not in the key of G. He's hitting something outside of the key, so I immediately had to find that. It sounds lower than that. Let's see, G. He's in the key of E flat. That's an E flat chord he's laying on me right there. Okay? So he's going to go back into his progression, and then when he hits his magic chord, I'll know that that's an E flat chord, and I start dancing on an E flat. So I'm in G. Then back to G, 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 G. And I've got a few licks that I know in G. And then he's going to go to the bridge, which is 4 chords or something like that. So think of a bridge. Went out of the key there. So he went all over the place, and all I knew is I need to play something, 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 and land on G. A lot of it is catching the dismount. You ever watch those gymnastics things? They can do whatever they do, but they have to stick to the dismount. And that's the, so he went all these other places, and I just started going chromatic. And then he's coming close to the end. I got to get the dismount.
That's how most of my solos are. At the end, you got an ump going, safe! We'll end songs sometimes, and all the musicians will go, yeah, we made it.
Sometimes we think it's all about playing a bunch of notes, when actually it's a lot of it is rhythm, you know. You know, I can't make a life out of that, but although Antonio Carlos Jobim made quite a wonderful
Wow.
career out of. Yeah, just one note didn't
One
let
note
the
song.
chord changes. Anyway, my encouragement to you is don't be afraid to start exploring on your instrument. But I sound terrible. You're going to sound terrible. You're just starting. Okay, that's how it works. The little toddler doesn't run off in the Olympics. He fumbles around the coffee table first and he falls a few times. That's how you do it. So you make mistakes and you try and get better at it. Eventually you'll start making better choices. Your brain, your ear will start making better choices. I'm rambling on.
Any questions?
Steve, the choices you made for your kind of 3-note solo,
Okay?
you had a C chord and you had the 3rd and the 5th. Did you let your ear tell you which was a better choice between the 3rd and the 5th?
I could do something on the 3rd.
Sorry.
Like I chose the 5th just because I knew the 5th was going to change to this G sharp. But what if I chose the 3rd? The 3rd of the C chord is a what? E? What's close to an E as I come to the E7 chord? Of course, I could just stay on that E. That would work. Or I could slip down to this D, one of my more interesting notes. That would work. And then what's close to that? Well, like the C sharp's close, and that would still catch one of my important tones. So you kind of go away, you hit a tone, and then you hit that. But if I don't hit these important tones, it doesn't sound like I'm making this. It doesn't sound like I'm really covering the changes. Does that make sense?
As far as the 3rd and the 5th, I mean, if I'm playing something, I go, hey, I think I'll start on the 3rd. I mean, and then sometimes I go, well, let me start on the 5th and see where it goes from there. So either one of those are fun to start with. You could almost hear that chord. If you know the chord enough, you could almost hear what the 3rd's going to sound like before you even play it, right? You kind of feel how it is, and then go from there. Somebody had their hand. Yeah.
Got 2 questions. The first one sets up the second one. There's no such thing as a stupid question, right?
No.
Okay.
Although I've had some heard some quote that come close.
Okay. You heard about the pentatonic scale, and you
Yes.
use that, in the chord progression. How do you use that? I mean, can you use that and you don't have to think about all this stuff, or how does that work?
Well, how does the pentatonic scale is root notes? Okay, we're going to shift out of jazz world here for a second.
Let me show you where I use
Okay.
the pentatonic. I actually use the pentatonic right here on these minors.
Okay.
And on these minors here, I'll use pentatonic on that.
Okay.
I'll go. Let's see. Then A7. Now, pentatonic. Here, right there. So that it's a minor pentatonic is what I use, not a major pentatonic, a minor pentatonic. On those, whenever you see those kind of minor chords there,
Minor sevens.
it's pretty safe to do your minor pentatonic. And E minor was the way to
Think I'm going nuts here. Here you go. 1, C major, ready, go. See, every now and then I'll hit that 4th, and it'll jag because he's on a different chord. But if I play my pentatonic scale, now I'm going to play pentatonic. I'm going to take away those problematic notes. He's going through all kinds of chords. chords, he's changing all sorts of stuff. I don't care. I'm not paying any attention. And then I know my pentatonic scale, just like they taught me at guitar camp. And I'm just going up and down, just dancing around that. I'll throw in a blues note every now and then. But basically, I'm hanging close to my pentatonic scale. That's why pentatonic scales work in a lot of pop settings. It takes out those problematic notes.
And here's what I was playing. I was playing a C chord, and then I'd go to an F chord. He's still in C pentatonic. Hear that? So that's the sound. And then I went to a 2 minor, which was a D minor. He still went. I went to a G chord. It was like he wasn't paying attention to me at all.
It's not the first time that it's happened. Anyway, I wish we could talk a whole lot more about that, but it is after time, and we need to get y'all back for lunch. A last question or two. Going once, going twice. Yes, Viet.
What about the notes variation when you determine whether you use A versus res or triplet, adding that kind of variation into your improvise?
Adding rhythmic variation?
Yeah. How you come up with quarter notes versus...
Like you said, triplets, stuff like that?
Yeah. That way.
Well, I mean, what I do is I think more of a rhythmic anyway, like a drummer would, you know, stuff like that. And triplets are big too. Like you were just doing triplets, right? So we swing it a little bit, and then we triple it up, and then we swing it. I mean, I try to vary as much as I can. But sometimes I end up just going, you know, and then that's the triplet. Okay, so I'll actually do a scale with a triplet, right? That's kind of how I do it, and then I'll use rhythms to do the rest because I've run out of things to do. I played everything I know. This is the last thing.
When you hear Dino at the end of a set playing that, you'll know. I've already played every note I know. We all have our licks. If you do any sort of soloing, you've got your licks. And what the problem is, if we just play our licks, then we become very boring people. And it just becomes very, very boring solo. So you have to break yourself out of those ruts every now and then. A good way to break yourself out of those ruts is to play little games. This time I'm going to start on the third. Let me play in a part of the neck that I've never played in. Let me start on the sixth. You know, and you just play little games to yourself to break yourself out of your patterns. Because if not, I'll just keep playing my lick that I know works all the time, and I never get any better. So I will talk. I wish we could kind of do a whole course on that sort of stuff because there's so much
I
there.
think you just improvised over, I could understand it, you did dominant chords were 1, 4, 5, and the other ones were minor. Okay?
Yes.
But that wasn't true on all of them. All of the E would have been a minor, I would have thought. If it was
Right.
C.
Yes, so there's harmonic things happening there too. Secondary dominance. All of me is in the key of C, but some of the chords do go outside of the key for a time.
The E wasn't minor though. The E was major.
It was, but it would have been an E minor note.
In the key of C,
yeah,
the
the
three
diatonic
chord
scale,
is
yeah.
E minor.
Right,
Yes,
you're right.
That's
Yeah.
true. So if all the chords are in the particular key, then yeah, I can dance up and down that major scale all day long, and I'm fine. I never have to worry about whether there's G sharps and C sharps and things like that. It's only when those things change that I have to make sure and catch that, or I'm going to
So you
clash.
couldn't have done pentatonic in all of them.
No, pentatonic couldn't work because it's always changing.
No,
That's the
right.
thing.
You have to know what scale to do pentatonic. Like for the first chord, you could do pentatonic.
Sure.
All of me. Why not take all of me?
Yeah, but you got to catch and lean. Yeah. We'll be back here at 1:30 with Michael Rapole. Go get some lunch, relax a little bit.